Title: Whispers on the Bus Chapter 1. The daily ride. It was just another typical morning for Kato, a high school sophomore who always sat by the window on the bus. He preferred the solitude, the rhythmic hum of the tires against the pavement, and the distant view of the school coming closer with each passing second. It was a routine he never questioned, but something in the air felt different today. As the bus lurched to a stop, Kato noticed her. Emi, the quiet girl from his class, was standing at the bus door, hesitating before stepping in. She was usually a bit reserved, always burying her nose in a book or gazing out of the window. But today, she looked a little different. A bit more awake, a little more alive. Emi's gaze met Kato's for a fleeting second as she made her way to the seat beside him, causing his heart to beat faster. It was subtle, just a brief look, but for Kato, it felt like the world had slowed down. "Morning," Emi mumbled as she sat down, her voice soft, almost unsure. Kato nodded back, unsure of how to respond, his throat suddenly tight. Why was it so hard to speak to her? They'd been in the same class for a year now, but somehow, today, things felt different. The bus started moving again, and Emi settled into her seat, pulling out her book, the one she always carried. Kato couldn't focus on his own thoughts, distracted by the way she turned the pages with delicate fingers. She was always so graceful, so absorbed in her own world. Was it strange that he felt connected to her even though they barely spoke? Chapter 2. The Silent Connection. The next day, Kato couldn't shake off the feeling that something had changed. He tried to act normal, but every time he saw Emi on the bus, he couldn't help but notice the way her eyes seemed to flicker toward him. It was small, but it was there. Was she aware of his attention, or was he just imagining things? Days passed, and every morning, they would sit in the same spots, only exchanging the quietest of words. "Good morning, is this seat taken? Have a good day." It was like a dance they didn't know how to master, each unsure of the other's feelings, but both drawn to one another like magnets. One rainy morning, as the bus rattled through the downpour, something unexpected happened. The bus hit a bump, and Emi, who had been lost in her book again, lost her balance and stumbled toward Kato. Without thinking, he reached out to steady her. Their hands brushed briefly, and Kato's breath caught in his throat. Emi froze for a moment, eyes wide. Her cheeks flushed, and Kato quickly pulled his hand back, his own heart pounding. "Sorry," Kato muttered, his voice barely a whisper. But Emi just smiled, that soft, shy smile that made Kato feel like the whole world was right. "It's okay," she said quietly. "Thank you." Chapter 3. Unspoken words. Days turned into weeks, and their bond, though still unspoken, grew stronger. The bus rides became something Kato looked forward to, if only for the few moments he could share with Emi. Their conversations remained simple, almost mundane, but every word felt like it carried meaning. One day, after a particularly quiet ride, Emi did something unexpected. As the bus came to a stop in front of their school, she turned to Kato and said, "I like sitting next to you." Kato blinked, not quite processing her words at first. "What?" Emi's face turned a shade of pink that made Kato's heart skip a beat. "I mean, it's just that. You're easy to talk to. Even if it's just the little things. I like it." Kato felt his chest tighten. Was this it? Was this the moment everything changed? I like sitting next to you too," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Emi's smile was brighter than ever, and for the first time, Kato saw a glimpse of the real Emi, someone who was more than just the shy girl who always read her books. She was someone who noticed the small details, who understood what it meant to be in the quiet company of someone else. "Maybe we could talk more," Kato suggested, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I don't know about anything, school, books, anything." Emi's eyes sparkled. "I'd like that." Chapter 4. The Confession. It wasn't until a few months later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, that Kato finally gathered the courage to speak what had been on his mind all along. The bus ride was just like any other, but today, Emi seemed a little distant, lost in thought. Kato couldn't ignore the sinking feeling in his stomach, the feeling that something was off. As they reached the final stop before the school, Kato turned to her, his voice trembling slightly. Emi, I've been thinking a lot lately, and I wanted to say something. Emi looked up, her eyes wide with curiosity. What is it, Kato? He took a deep breath, his heart racing. I like you. I've liked you for a while now. Not just because of the bus rides, but because of who you are. I don't know what it is, but every time I'm near you, I feel like I understand the world a little better. Before he could finish, Emi reached out and gently took his hand. Her touch was warm, comforting, and for a moment, everything else faded away. I like you too, Kato, she said softly, her voice full of warmth. I always have, Kato blinked in surprise, but then, as the words sank in, a smile spread across his face. And in that quiet moment on the school bus, with the rain tapping lightly against the windows, the world seemed perfect. Epilogue, a new beginning. From that day forward, Kato and Emi's friendship blossomed into something deeper. They began sharing their hopes, dreams, and quiet moments, not just on the bus, but everywhere. The bus rides no longer felt like just a part of their routine, they were a reminder of the small moments that led to something special. And as the seasons changed, so did their relationship. What started with a simple touch, a few words exchanged in the quiet hum of the school bus, turned into a love story that neither Kato nor Emi would ever forget.